Wildwood ain't what it used to be. I know it's not Ames, Iowa, but all right. Without further ado, let's get Gary's thoughts on the superstar that is Cooper Dejean now, our friend Garry Cobb from Fox 29, former Eagle. I don't know, Gary. This guy's acting like he's all like, a lot of distractions for this team this offseason.
Well, there are. And, you talked about Cooper. Look at what Cooper's been through in the short time he's been here. I mean, he is popular. I mean, I've seen him where the little girls are running around, Cooper, screaming and stuff. So, he has run into a phenomenon, I mean, kind of in a way, because he had that Super Bowl play, and then the team wins the Super Bowl in his first year, and he's a young kid, and he is popular, with the little girls running after him and everything. But he's going to be all right, because I see he's working out. He's putting in time. He's getting in his work, because, people are going to be coming after him too. They've had a look at them. They are going to try to attack them. So I think they'll be up to it. But, he's going to get a good taste of NFL's best. They're going to design plays specifically for him. This is what happens when you win the whole thing, man. Everybody's looking at tapes of you. And people are going to be going after Cooper. Probably going to see some double moves and things. And some things he saw last year that he reacted to real quick. He's going to see that, and nope, not doing that. They're doing something else. So there's going to be a challenge, but he's I think he's a level-headed kid. I don't think he's letting it just take him away. So I think he was going to be fine, but the big thing is he's going to need to be there for some of the young kids that are going to be playing beside him now. So he's not going to be they're going to be looking to him to be one of the stabilizing forces there on the defense, especially in the secondary, because there are going to be some young people back there with him in all likelihood, and he's going to need to be a stabilizing force. So, things are going to change a little bit, but, he's a smart player. That's one thing about him. I don't think he got credit for that. I didn't realize he was
I didn't either.
a smarter football player. Yep. He is. He's a smart player. The kid's got all the ability in the world. I mean, he's extremely talented. When you see the people he's running with, I'm going like, he's running step for step with the guy, and he's not a small corner. Well, he's a big corner. He's got some meat on the bone, as they say. So he's an extraordinary athlete. The thing is, people are going to be testing him. You got to expect more challenges when you go into your second year, and people are going to be going after him. So he's got to know that that's what he's going to see, and that's part of being in the NFL.
I got a new name for him: Caitlin Cooper Clark Dejean. I mean, hey, there he is, Gary.
See, there you go.
There he is, the White Hope. You're going to everybody in Philly. And don't tell me that this isn't a thing.
Yeah.
Because it was a thing in New York when you had Ryan, the kid, Seahorn.
Yeah.
Remember when you had Seahorn in there? Oh, my God, a white corner.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was a big deal.
Yeah, he was a pretty boy and everything. And with the girls screaming and everything. I was up there. I saw them screaming. They're screaming and stuff. I'm going, what you guys screaming? Jason Seahorn. Oh, man. So
that's what you got going on with Cooper, Caitlin Clark, Dejean here. I mean,
yeah, well,
you got yourself something special.
I tell you what, hey, you tell the rest of the league he can tackle better than she can.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, that's for sure, man. I saw her. I'm with you there. Hey, Gary, let me ask you about Reed Blankenship here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, you help me out here and tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right here. I'm sorry, man. I think he's a good player, but I do not think he's one of the top 20 safeties in the league. And follow me here when I say this. Yeah. So when Gardner Johnson wasn't on the team, that defense a year ago was 28th in pass defense. They were just terrible in the secondary. You put Gardner Johnson back in the room, all of a sudden they're great across the corners with Slay and also Q, and you had Gardner Johnson playing next to him. You just mentioned it. So you're going to have a rookie back there, and you're going to have another guy who first-year starter at that corner position. You're either going to have a Dory Jackson out there, or you're going to have Keely Ringo. That secondary does not have the talent across the board, and even Isaiah Rodgers, who came in, and spelled Slay when he got hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
how does that affect how you look at him? Now, he's eligible for an extension. Are you really paying that guy Derwin James money? I'm not.
I think, it's going to depend on how the season goes. Because but I think there's an opportunity. There's a chance they could be willing to pay him. There's a chance. But he's got to have a good year. There's no doubt about that. And I can't say that I know clearly, and I don't think that they have totally made their mind up about how they feel about Reed with regards to how much money they're willing to pay him. So, this is a big year for him too. He needs to be a great force for those young players, meaning he's a guy that can keep them going in the right way, keep them abreast of what's going on, talking to them, keep them at ease. Where if they're playing well, they're going to look at him as if he's the guiding force back there, because he's going to have to, he's the one that's the most experienced of the safeties. You see clearly he's going to be back there. So he's going to need to keep everybody even keel, make sure he's communicating with everybody. Everybody knows the calls and things. So that's going to be Reed's job. And I think that they feel like Reed is stepping more into a leadership position back there. So that's what they're expecting out of him. So that's going to be part of his job. And if he does that well and everything, that's going to help with regards to probably how much money they're going to be willing to offer him.
So in your opinion, it's more about Vic wanting that player back there and Vic thinking his importance back there, because you even heard Slay a year ago say, really, the quarterback of our secondary is Reed Blankenship. Yep. So you think that plays more of a factor than, again, he might not be one of the top talented safeties, but I mean, he's one of the most important safeties, because in Philly, he is the most important safety.
Yeah. Well,
maybe somewhere else he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they don't put him in situations where he's one-on-one a whole lot, especially with a good receiver. He might cover the tight end sometime and everything. But for the most part, he's got the, deep half, deep third, that sort of thing. But the big thing he's doing, he's a communicator back there. He's got to make sure everybody else is on the same page. He's the one that's making the adjustments. If they got motion and different things, a lot of times he is one of the key ones. That might be changing the coverage. But the big thing is the communication and keeping these you got more younger guys back there. So they need veteran players who are going to be stabilized and forced to keep those guys on the same page. But he's a good player. Like, he's a good open field tackler and everything. He does a good job coming up against the run and everything. But, he's not a great one-on-one guy, and they don't put him in those kind of situations a lot. But
I don't see Derwin James when I see him. And if you're talking $15 million, that's Derwin James, and I don't see it.
But see, the league is changing. The price is going up on everything. And if he does a great job and these young guys play well and the defense is playing well, that's gonna be a big plus for him, because he's made some big interceptions for them, and he's a good tackler, and he's a stabilizing force back there. So
do you think he's part of the future of the team?
I'd have to say, right now, probably, but not definitely, because I don't think they've made up a decision. You see, they haven't said, hey, we're going to give you and then go ahead and really pay him right now. They haven't done that. See, so I think the jury is still out, but I think there's a good chance he could be. If they have a good season, the defense is playing well, these young kids are coming along, I think there's a chance of it. Now, in looking at the safeties, hey, they just drafted a safety.
That's why I'm sitting there going like this, Gary.
I hear you.
I mean, you draft the safety, and you're also talking about playing Dejean in the safety and base. Well, and now I'm going like this. Okay, well, where does that leave Reed then? I mean, you drafted a second rounder.
See, well, the thing is, they're going to be moving Cooper around. Dejean is going to be playing everywhere. They're going to utilize his abilities to do different things. If they want to do different things, they're going to be doing things with him, but they're going to be moving him around. So I don't know how much you can read into him and what he's going to be doing. But I do think that the fact that they drafted a rookie, this kid comes in and plays well, that might not be the best thing for Reed. If he comes in and
think they let the season play out and kind of pay him the way they paid Zach Bond? right before free agency
Yeah,
starts.
well,
He earns that contract because I'm with you. I don't think they're gonna pay him.
They might not because see, they have decisions on other players too. And one of the guys is of course Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown is a guy who this is a big year for him. Is he going to mature? Because Sidney Brown is capable of making big plays for them. He's a good tackler and everything. But is he going to mature where he's a steadying influence back there in the secondary? Does he come on to where all of a sudden, they're putting him on the field and they're giving him more and more opportunities? That's the situation that the whole secondary is in. A number of the guys, this is their year, meaning that this is a decision year, and so they need to play well. And some of them needing to mature, like Brown. They need to have the confidence in him where he can get everybody lined up. He doesn't give up big plays because see that's the thing with Vic. You could make a few plays for him as a safety, but if you're giving up big plays, he's not crazy about big plays.
How about this one too? Think about this. Keely Ringo is up for an extension this offseason, and he hasn't seen the field.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
right. Yeah,
you got a decision on that kid because, like, hey, it's one thing to be. I keep hearing this. Well, the kid's the youngest guy. They got him when he was super young. Well, shit, Gary. You're not on a GI Bill when you get to the NFL. I mean, you got to play eventually. You're 4 years on the roster.
That's right. It's his time.
Right? I mean,
that's right. That's right. And that's why this is such a big year for those guys in that secondary, man. It's a big year because all those young kids, they're going to be evaluated. And the Eagles know they have important decisions to make. And that's why all of, a number of them, they got the eye on them. Who knows? Some of the guys might not be here when the season starts. They could trade people and they'll probably figure they can trade some of them, who have had talent and were drafted kind of high. They figure there'll be other teams interested in them. But so somebody's probably going to get traded. Somebody of these young guys, somebody's going to get traded. But the guys that have come out and win their job and everything, who knows? If they, they play well, they got to put together a couple good seasons, and they could be walking away with a boatload of money.
Couple more here for you, Gary. I got to throw this at you here. Do you realize that what the Eagles did and what Howie Roseman did this offseason, he looked at the number one defense and said, Jalen Carter is more important than the number one defense when he went like this. Josh, Milton, CJ, all the guys they whacked off that team so that they could get in line to pay him exclusively.
Well, they got to, though.
I'm with the move. I'm with it. But doesn't that show you where they are with – they would rather have that player and build the defense around that player than have the number one unit. Gary, you could make the argument that defense a year ago became more accomplished. They may not be as talented as Gang Green, but they had more accomplishments than Gang Green because they won the Super Bowl.
True.
And what they did with a generational player in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
you can
right.
make that argument. They went like this. Well, let's get rid of that team. We got to pay Carter. I'm not saying they're not wrong, but man, what a commitment to that kid.
Yeah, it was at the same time when I look at the different guys they let go. He's the one. He's the one that double teaming all the time. I mean, some of those guys, they're good players. All the guys are good players. But some of those guys got some money. Have they really earned that kind of money? You got a guy that hasn't had double-digit sacks and not being double teamed, and he gets $25 million a year.
Unbelievable.
I think you got some good players, but 25 a year. Has he really played to that level when, that's great. I don't blame him. Get your money and everything, but I couldn't see the Eagles. Come on. Were they going to match that? With some of those guys, I could see where, I understand that some good young players and everything, but I could see why, they let them walk.
Yeah,
totally. They're not going to match that. And they figure, the guys are good players, but I think they look at some of the potential. Like if they look at Jalix Hunt, they're really interested in seeing Jalix Hunt more and more. Moro or Jomo, those two, and a Nolan Smith, man, it's exciting to see. I want to really see, where these guys are starting, how well they do. Now, Nolan Smith, with the way he finished last year, he got 4 sacks in the playoffs. When is a better time to be playing like that than in the playoffs? But Jalen Hunt and Moro Ojomo, man, and we'll see with Jordan Davis how well he keeps coming. But it's going to be exciting to see how they play. And you got the rookie Jahad, Campbell. I'm really interested in this defense, man. Really, as much as I love their offense with all the talent they got, the story is going to be their defense.
It's funny you mentioned that. That was going to go my next question.
Yeah.
Don't you think major roles and expanded roles?
Yeah.
You've got to get great play from Moro Ojomo this year and Jalen Hunt, because you're replacing Josh Sweat and Milton Williams with those two players.
Correct.
Nolan is going to be kind of the guy who's going to be the weak side edge rusher, and you're going to have Jalen Hunt play that role of Josh Sweat. And Milton Williams, the role is going to be tried to be filled by Moro Ojomo. Ty Robinson's going to be in that conversation as well behind. Yeah. I mean, don't you think those two guys right there, of all the players that we've mentioned, and you just mentioned these two, they've got to have a real significant impact on this team this year, because if those two guys don't play well and they don't replace Milton and Josh, who's setting the edge?
Well, I agree. They do need to play well. Now, so far they've shown, they were in the Super Bowl. Both, all those guys, they were active and making plays in the Super Bowl. They made plays throughout the playoffs. When they got in, they did, contribute. The thing is, are they ready to go in there and be the starters? Well, that's why they play the game. We're going to find out. I think there's a good chance they are, but we'll see how well they're willing to come on. The kid, Ty Robinson, he's is an athlete, big, athletic, active guy there in the middle.
Clint likes him. Clint likes him a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see them because I think they could come in and take over. I think they could. I think that the Eagles are confident they can. But hey, that's why they play the game, man. The thing is when you're on a team that wins a Super Bowl, you can't come in and people aren't paying attention. No, everybody's paying attention. So these guys are in the spotlight. So they're not going to be, when they start off the season, where they're playing games where people aren't watching. The whole league is watching to see how good the Eagles are, with some of the other guys going, because they know if that defense is close to what they were last year, the rest of the league knows they got their work cut out.
Do you think it will be?
That's a lot to say, man. You know what? I think they are going to be a plus. I think we're going to be pleased with what they do.
You think they have enough depth?
That's hard for me to say that, man. When you're talking about, because now you're not only talking about Jalen Hunt and Moro Ojomo, you're talking about, kids behind them.
Remember, the guys we're talking about now, we're behind the starters.
I know.
You got to look at the dudes behind these guys now and go,
I know.
Do you think those guys are on the same level? And I don't.
That's a lot to ask. I would say right now, I feel good about Hunt and Ojomo, that they're going to be good. Now the kids behind them, man, they're not to where they're going to be on the field, but so much. But I couldn't vouch for them yet. We're going to all find out at the same time,
Hey, I'm going to ask you one last one, Gary.
Yeah.
Help me out on this. Do you think the media in Philadelphia, and do you think you and me even, explain to me what everyone sees in Jeremiah Trotter. I don't see it. I haven't seen one where I look at him and go, well, last year he couldn't beat out Oren Burks. Do I think he's better than Oren Burks? I don't. I think Oren Burks is a good football player. He's now going to be a starter in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And get this, I'm rooting for him because he's Trotter's kid. I'm totally rooting for him. However, when I see him play, I think he's got decent fit. He's got good footwork.
Yeah.
I think he understands the position. He's never out of position. He doesn't make false steps. I got all that.
Yeah.
But are we really just hoping more for this than we're really looking at the player? Because I haven't seen anywhere. And by the way, to be fair to him, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it where he sucks either. I mean, I haven't seen it either way. You know what I mean? So what do people see?
The things you mentioned, which is he's in the right place at the right time. But I think that the jury's still out. We're going to find out. Could he step in a situation, be a starter, and be in there with games on the line, and be able to make plays? That we're going to find out. He's not the fastest linebacker in the league. So with their defense, the way you do things, a lot of times, you're running. You look at the guy you're running on, and the guy's a wide receiver, or he's a running back.
I'm not ripping the kid. I just don't know what I'm looking at yet.
But we're gonna find out. But the thing I like about him is, a lot of the game is up here, and the kid is in the right place all the time. I look at him in practice. He's got a good feel for the game, and I think that's going to get him through. Now, does that mean he's going to be an all-pro like his dad? No, I'm not saying that.
I think that's why Vic likes him, is because he knows where to line up.
You could see he reads the play well. He doesn't get caught out of place. Looking at them out there in practice, you see he's where he's supposed to be. He kind of knows the play. He has a feel for the play because he's looking at stances and all that. Because his dad has taught him a lot probably, and has been in his ear. He's had, the advantage of having him there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a real smart football player. And I think that, in the game that now, if you are where you're supposed to be and you already know all those things, that's a big part of the game as a linebacker, especially when you're getting caught in situations where, man, it's not an easy job in covering in the pass game. Because a lot of times you look up and you're running after a wide receiver or, a tight end who can run and stuff.
Gary, just real quick here. The game's played in so much space.
Yes, it is.
That's
a linebacker. Yes.
An open field tackler today because the game is out in space. And if you're not a quick dude and you're not recognizing crossing routes and you're not recognizing these tight ends today, they're not Mark Bavaros anymore. These guys are these elite athletes now that play at that position that they got wide receiver tendencies. I mean, it's a different league today because it's played in such wide open field.
And see, that's why I think in that way, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the kid is always a couple steps ahead. Meaning he already has read what you're running. He's already up there on the screen. He's in the right position. So that's what he's got going for him. And a lot of that's the game. I mean, especially now with so much of the passing game, that's going to help him out. But we'll see how he does because if he were to all of a sudden look in and he's playing a starting job, he's starting and it's during the season. It's a game the whole league is looking at because the Eagles are going to be a feature. So whenever he does play, he's going to be playing in the spotlight. Everybody's going to be watching, but I think he's up to it. I mean, and I think his smarts and his football savvy, I think that's going to get him through.
You got it. Gary, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you so much. Make sure you check him out at Fox 29. Thank you, JAKIB. Appreciate you.
Hey, have a good one. All right.
You got it. Yeah, I'm not ripping the kid. I'm really not. You guys are talking to me about, and by the way, his career at Clemson, I thought his last year was okay. I thought his best year was his sophomore year. I thought his junior year was very up and down. I thought he didn't. And his senior year, that team got out to a very slow start defensively, and he was on it. And they got better as the season went on. I think they ended up winning 10 games when he was there. His best years were his early years. So, I mean, he knows the position. There's no doubt his dad has helped him. All right. Diamond Dallas Page is going to join us here in a couple minutes. So we're going to take a quick time out here. By the way, we appreciate everybody. I can't wait to talk to DDP and get his thoughts. Hey, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan with over $30 billion recovered when it comes to insurance companies trying to take advantage of clients across the country. That is why Morgan & Morgan is here for you. They will never allow any insurance company to take advantage of you. Like the family in Pennsylvania I told you about got $30 million in recovery, and initially they offered $650K. No way. A family down in Florida was given $12 million, initially offered $350,000. Morgan & Morgan, the reason they're number one is because they win. Plain and simple, they win. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.